A few students asked me, how would you do a problem like this? This was actually one of our examples, and we want to work it out for you. So here's an equation, but there are fractions. So for something like this, you would do it in steps. And from our equation solving section, when you have fractions, you want to modify this equation so it doesn't have any fractions anymore. And the technique for that is to multiply each term by the lowest common denominator, which happens to be 6. So I would set it up like so, and I'm going to multiply each term by 6. So 2 goes into 6 3 times, so this will give you 3x here. 2 goes into 6 3 times, so 3 times x is 3x, plus 3 goes into 6 2 times, so these cancel out and you're left with a 2 there, so plus 2y, and you have now 6 times a negative 1, which will equal a negative 6. Now, an example, or our next equation, we have a 5 there. So that's our common denominator. So to get rid of the fractions, we're going to multiply each of these terms by a 5. So here the 5's cancel out, and you're left with 2x. The 5 cancels out, and you're left with plus y. And now there's nothing to cancel out, so it's 5 times 2 equals 10. Now you notice here that we don't have fractions anymore, but in comparison we don't have any equations in which terms will cancel out. So let me write these again down here, and we'll work that. So we're looking for a strategy, and I see that here we have a 2y and here a y. So if I wanted to change this equation so that this y is a negative 2y, I would multiply just this equation by a negative 2. So this one will become now negative 4x negative 2y equals a negative 20. And this equation, I just copy it. So now when I put my line underneath it, I see that these terms will be eliminated, and I end up here with a negative x. I add these up and I get a negative 26. So I divide each by a negative 1 or multiply each term by a negative 1, and I get x equals 26. So I now have one member of my ordered pair, which is x is 26. But I still need to find my other value, the y. And you might say, well, which one should I use? Well, I could use either one. I wouldn't use the fractions since I've already worked them out. Let's use this one here. So 2 times x, that we're saying is 26, plus y equals 10. So 2 times 26 is 52. So I'm going to transpose the 52. It becomes a negative 52 on this side. So I get y then equals a negative 42. So this is my other value. So in review, when we have an equation or a series of equations with fractions, we have to get rid of the fractions first by multiplying each term by the lowest common denominator. That gets rid of the fractions. And notice these equations aren't the same anymore, but they're equivalent. I made them bigger by multiplying every term by 6, every term by 5. They don't have fractions. Then I modified this second equation so that this term would cancel out by multiplying it by a negative 2. Then I got the terms that would cancel out, and I solved for x, a positive x, and then for a y. Okay, hopefully this is helpful.